You're watching a Sweet Stories channel,
You are watching
and
a
this
Sweet
is
Stories channel, and this is Self Map to Self
communication
Made with
classifications,
Advertainment Amira.
categories of communication for personnel, training, and promotional considerations. Communication is at the heart of every successful business. However, without organization and communication and clear classifications of who's who and what's what, it can dilute the brand experience due to poor planning and ineffective processes. Communication classifications is a visual framework to streamline internal and external messaging for businesses, event planners, and entrepreneurs. It's now available online as a digital resource with the link in the description. What if you could categorize every message in your business, whether internal or external, so that it reaches the right person at the right time? That's exactly what communication classifications does. First, we're going to break it down into 6 classifications. There are 3 for internal and 3 for external. And if you're watching this, you're seeing that the graph has company in the center, with internal being the top half of the circle, and I1, and then I2, and an I3 at the very top of the circle. The I is for internal, so I1, I2, I3. At the bottom half of the circle is external, E1, E2, and E3. External. Internal communication is going to deal with the team operations. These are the client details and the vendor coordination. External communication focuses on vendors, guest experiences, and public branding. First, what is internal communication? You're going to want to think access and discretion. Internal classified communication encompasses operations, the reasoning, the causation, and sources of the original information. Who's provided the details, why they're doing what they're doing, why so-and-so event is happening, etc. The internal communication features defined accessibility parameters. There's a way to get this information and there's a way to keep this information. It ensures that the sensitive data stays within your company. It stays within your organization. This is to maintain that confidentiality, but also proceed with the event planning, the operations, the how things work. Internal communication is going to be vital for your company's success because it still keeps everybody informed, aligned, and focused on what needs to be accomplished for that event date or that objective. And the guidelines to access the information, these are provided in process and procedure. It helps your staff, it helps your employees, it helps your clients, your vendors, etc. access the information, manage it accordingly, but still keep it within the people that should know about it, and have it defined accordingly. So it's going to protect your company, it's going to protect the information, and it's still going to keep everybody's interest as they were intended. So internal information, internal communication, think, access, and discretion. I1, it's specific. It is for your company, it's internal use only, and it's for your staff, for your personnel. And sometimes this is really just the executives. And sometimes it's really for the person that is the point of contact for so-and-so project or for so-and-so event. I1, internal 1. Internal 2 is going to be anything that's between you, the client, etc. It's going to include contracts, personal details, confidentiality agreements, things that are seen, heard, on-site, etc. It's still, again, access and discretion. I3 is going to be between your vendors. These are contracts, they're client requests, they're floor plans that are still maybe in the works, or they're floor plans for the entire parameter, and it's discretion between you and your point of contact with the vendor. And then maybe agendas, the entire agenda for a week full of events, or the entire agenda that might involve multiple personnel. It's still internal, and it's usually person to person. External communication. External communication ensures that your brand messaging is still consistent and impactful amongst the different audiences that you're going to interact with. So when you're thinking of external communication, think outbound interactions. It's going out. The audience reach is intended to be aware of something. E1 ensures that the vendors and the teams are aligned. This is for the vendors and staff. So if we're talking about that floor plan, this would say, hey, this is how we're going to get the event set up. Pass a piece of paper to everybody that's working this event, so on and so forth. So E1 is the information for the vendors, the staff. It's going to have the event guide. It's going to have an agenda that's going to say, hey, this is what's public information. This is how the event is happening. These are the run of show details. Here's the marketing material. Here's the name of the event. Here's the other vendors that are involved. That's E1. E2, it's really about enhancing that guest experience. This is the material for the guest experience. So now you've surpassed the vendors, the client, you're getting to your audience. You're getting to what are they touching? What are they feeling? What are they experiencing? What are the senses that are involved? And how are we communicating that? Is it through branded memorabilia? Is it through favors? Is it through personal requests on behalf of your client, personal requests on behalf of the vendors, etc.? What is marketed? What's on paper? And how's it communicated? So this might also include emails, uh, newsletters, e-publications, blogs, on-site favors. Uh, that's that E2. E3 is going to ensure that you're growing your brand presence. It's intentionally saying promote on behalf of our company. This is the content that's for the public channels, your photography, your social media, your press releases, brand collaborations, branded memorabilia. So this is saying, this is for you, this is for the audience, and this is for the audience's audience. And as you notice, looking at the chart, each sphere encompasses the previous one plus more. So those third spheres, whether it's internal or external, they're the most external. They're all encompassing of the previous ones plus additional audiences, additional communications. This can be through various mediums, various medias. Take that into consideration, that it's not just emails anymore. It's not just social media. It's not just on your phone. This can be a newspaper that's left in a car, and somebody else is driving with their friend and they see it and they're like, oh, look, this magazine, this newspaper, and then they pass it along and then they post a picture. It's the audience of audience. That's how you can grow your brand presence too. But if you want to intentionally communicate through these classifications, now you have a label to how you delegate. And now that you have a label of how you delegate, you have functionality in your process, in your communication. So E1, to reiterate, E1 is equipping your vendors in your staff how the event's going to happen, what's happening, here's the details, here's what's still within our conversation and our sphere of conversation. E2, to reiterate, that's that guest experience, guest experience. E3 is public. It's promotional, it's public, it's posting. These are the communication classifications, the 6 that define internal communication and external communication. Now we're going to move on to the worksheet. This worksheet is a chart. If you're watching, you can see that internal definition and that external definition being labeled as I1, I2, and I3, and external being E1, E2, E3. And in the center of the worksheet, there are project objectives. So we've reviewed the communications and the classifications. Now let's see how they fit into your business workflow. So whether you're planning an event, or you're managing a team, or you're running a marketing campaign, this communication classifications is going to help you keep everything organized from the sequential planning process to the communication and delegation. And by using the communications classifications, not only can you automate the delegation, but you're going to clarify how you reach your audience, when you reach your audience, and who reaches your audience. And it'll ensure that there's consistency across your company, across your organization. So whether you're managing vendors, or you're delegating tasks, or you're just crafting your next brand messaging and how you communicate on behalf of your company, this framework ensures that the right message reaches the right person at the right time. So in your project objectives, you've got planning, promotions, logistics, on-site, post-event. You can replace this to what fits your company in your organization. However, for our advertainment services and our event management, we summarize it to planning, promotions and marketing, logistics, on-site, and then post-event communications. And the top half of the chart is I1, I2, I3. So for example, in the planning process, first thing is I1, directly working with the client, directly reserving the date, being able to say, okay, this is the service that we offer. I2 is working with the client, getting the vision, the objectives, the goals, and the dates, the event details, etc. I3 is being able to start securing vendors to make that event date happen, etc. On the bottom half of the chart, you've got external E1, E2, E3. That's that marketability, that growth of the brand presence, that communication with intention. Now you've taken a step to transform your business with advertainment. Visit the link in bio to download the full communications classifications resource today. Now you can start communicating for better branding, for better business. This is a presentation by Sweet Stories, the advertainment company.